Satya out here in Singapore, and thank you so much for joining into the Night Out podcast. As always, it is my pleasure to have you on here with me, listening, writing in feedback, commenting, all of that stuff. I really, really do appreciate you guys. And today I actually kind of want to confess a little bit of something. So as you may have noticed, I used to be very, very consistent about posting content. And I used to make sure that I posted on Instagram every day without fail. And I used to make sure that I actually did the podcast every night without fail. And so I was at least 2 brand new pieces of content every day. Now, in the course of this year, I've kind of fallen off a little bit. And it's not something I'm proud of, but I also know that I'm losing my momentum every time this happens. But do I need to confess? I need to let you guys know that a lot of times when I go through something in my personal life, it affects everything else. Because I need to sit with that trauma and I need to process it. I need to figure out what the heck is going on. Why do I feel this way? I kind of feel shitty usually when I have an encounter with somebody who either is an energy vampire and takes all of my energy, or is expecting too much of me and I haven't had a chance to actually draw a boundary yet. Any one of 1,000 things could be going on. But for some reason this year, it's been a little heavier than I expected. So for those of you who have been waiting for me to get back on and start doing more content, I've been very content to just do 30 to 45 second snippets, which was the daily dose on Twitter. And it started on Twitter and it kind of like grew and evolved from there. I've been happy to share it on platforms like Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and LinkedIn actually as well. So I've been really, really happy. Oh, and Snapchat, to share all of that content everywhere. But it's the same 30 to 45 seconds that I create one time and I spread it out to all of those, I don't know, what is it, 5 or 6 different platforms, which is great because I'm still creating at least once a day. But what I'm also realizing is I'm not focused on my business at the moment because I don't feel so great in my personal life. Now, it isn't to say that I have to be perfect in my personal life and my business life to continue the way that it should. Because let's face it, when we go to work every day, it doesn't matter what happens in your personal life, they expect you to show up the next day, right? You don't get mental health days. You don't get to call in sick. You got to provide MC. And for that, you got to pay $35 to prove that you don't have to go to work to take a day off and not get paid for that day anyway. So yeah, long story short, I have been slacking. And a lot of it's because I have not been doing the work. And the reason I haven't been doing the work is because I didn't feel like it. I was not inspired. Now, on a given day, like a regular day, let's say pick any random day from 2019, I can come up with all kinds of content. I share tons of content. I interact with lots and lots of local businesses as well as some of my favorite accounts. I go through my feed. And I do my best not to just like and keep on scrolling. I do my best to actually really interact, like write a comment, show you some feedback, show you that I actually read what the hell you wrote in the caption and not just share what was in the picture. So I do my best to actually provide other avenues of content if I'm not creating it for myself. But usually I get inspired. That means that maybe I do a double take or I get the breath knocked out of me or somehow I find myself in this great discussion where I have a couple of aha moments and I have to stop right then and then. I want to go create something. Now, in years past, that's exactly what I did. We would be watching a movie and I'd be like, babe, we got to pause this movie. And baby girl would be like, all right, fine, we'll pause it. And she knows right then and there, I'm going to go off into the room. I'm going to record a podcast and I'll be right back. But lately, with the convergence of all the energies inside my house, because my mom came back from the U.S., my uncle came back from working in the foreign worker dormitories, and I have a housemate in the house as well, all of these things kind of converged into one, and suddenly I don't have my own space where I can recover. I don't have the kind of room that I used to have to be able to kind of get in touch with nature or listen to podcasts myself. It's almost like I have to be on pins and needles to make sure that I accommodate all the people around me. It's not to say that I couldn't just throw my weight around and do what I feel like doing anyway, but I don't feel good about those things. I feel very selfish if I'm doing, exhibiting behavior like that. So trying to be cognizant of the many personalities and preferences inside my house has changed a lot for me. And even then, because I've changed, I feel like some of my friends have noticed the change and they've taken offense to it because I'm not available the way that I used to be. And it's not that I'm ignoring them, it's that I'm trying really hard to recover on my own as well. And you all know how I feel about posting anything when I'm upset. I don't want the message to come out garbled. I don't want to give you the kind of information that comes from fear and anger from my own life and then it influences your decisions. I am very careful about what I create and put out on the internet. Mostly because I know what it's like to, be angry one day, find an angry post, and then because you're hyped up by whatever's going on or the influences around you, you go off and do something out of reacting to the issue rather than responding to it, and then you get yourself into more trouble. You find yourself having to explain more, do a little bit more damage control. And that's not the kind of content I want to create. I'm not here to instigate you guys. I'm here to inspire you. I'm here to help you reclaim your life, help you rediscover the love that you do have around you. Maybe we're so focused on the things that upset us so much that we don't notice how much we have for ourselves. Now, with that being said, you're probably wondering, well, Rasati, if you're not actually creating content, does that mean that you're like focusing on all the bad things around you? Yes and no. I'm not actually focusing on all that's going wrong. I'm focusing on what does that mean to me. Case in point, there was a situation the other day where I got offended by something somebody said to me inside the house. And I had to sit with that for a moment and be like, well, why did it offend me? What did I think that meant for me to be suddenly offended? Because before they came along, I was fine. And after they're gone, I'll be fine. But what is it that they said that felt like an attack to me, felt like I was being called out, or felt like, they were disrespecting me somehow? And for me to focus on the problems, not on the problem itself, but the underlying root cause that made it a problem in the first place. I think you've heard that quote that says, the problem is not the problem. The problem is your thoughts about the problem. And that's where I went. I started chasing back all the thoughts that led me to the idea that, what they said was offensive. Obviously, they're saying the best that they can to communicate, and I took it as an offensive statement, but I needed to understand why that was an offensive statement. Now, in this particular case, the person I was speaking to happened to mention something about the fact that I'm no longer around for them, that I am being stingy with my time because of another third party in my life. And I had to sit and think about that. Do I really put people aside when I have new people in my life? Or is it something that it was a priority of energy? This person needs me more right now, so I paid attention here. As a result, I could not pay attention there as well. So it was a split focus. It was a situation where I really had to be honest with myself, and that doesn't happen very easily sometimes. Sometimes I'm still sitting with that hurt emotion and I want to fight back and tell them, no, but you did this, this, and this, and this, and this. And that's where I know it's a debate and not a discussion. So I had to shut myself down. I had to isolate for a little while, and I had to think about what the hell was going on with me. Why do I feel this way? Why am I so perturbed? Why am I being knocked off balance? Because y'all know me, I try really hard to stay balanced no matter what's going on around me. That is the true mark of trauma work done well. If the world can go to hell in a handbasket around you, and you can keep your wits about you and try and help the situation rather than react to it and create more drama, I'd say you've done all your trauma work. But the thing is, trauma work doesn't mean that just because you've done it, it kind of bounces back really fast. It's not like the snapping of a piece of elastic. It's more like it takes you a minute to notice, and once you notice, you kind of put the pieces back together and you know what you need to do to get back to normal. But it takes a second to notice. So here I am confessing. I have not been consistent this year. I don't like that I haven't been consistent this year. There have been moments where I was inspired to create a podcast. Like this morning, I was inspired to create a podcast, several in fact, while I was on a commute to go get my eyebrows done. And I wrote down all of the notes of the things that I wanted to talk about in my own notepad on my phone. But when I got back home, I was not in the frame of mind where I wanted to record, and I was not in a place where I could have recorded on the bus itself because I would have had a lot of extraneous noise. So here I am, caught between being inspired, wanting to create, being in a place where I can't create, and then having the mood, like all feelings, kind of wash over me where I no longer feel like I want to create. Now, we've talked about this as well, where you can jumpstart that feeling of being inspired by just starting the process of creating. And you know what? When I'm upset, when I've got stuff going on, I can start. I will get started. But the minute I hit a speed bump or something where I can't figure out the answer to it or the solution for it, I stop and I move on to something else because I get frustrated. And that's been my greatest pain in the neck at the moment. I've found that a lot of times when I hit that snag, I don't want to go back to creating again. I want to kind of put it on hold and go to something else, which is the worst possible thing that I can do, especially with a task list as long as mine is. And the thing is, it's not that I owe anyone else the work. It's work for me. I'm the boss. The buck stops with me. And so guess who can give me a free pass? Me, which is probably the worst thing ever. But here I am confessing to you guys because I don't know how you feel, but this is what I realized about the way my energy works. I can't create my own energy. I'm a projector. But what I can do is be inspired by somebody else's work and talk about how I feel about that work and how I see the connections. I draw connections really, really well. I build communities really, really well. Those are some of my strong suits. I'm here to create order and I'm here to create community. And I'm happy with that. I am a tribe person and I want to create a following that can support each other. And it's so many different aspects to this that I really, really do enjoy. But when my energy is low, when I'm dealing with chaos in my own life or in my own mind, the last thing I want to do is get on this mic and spew all of that anger and that frustration and that shame or that guilt or me pointing the finger. I don't want to do that because it's easy to do that. And that's not showing you that I actually thought about the situation. I realized what I was going through and I was able to come to a conclusion that this is not the best way to handle this and I need to focus on this other aspect instead. I want to tell you after the fact, once I've conquered it all. And sometimes when you have constant chaos, as in maybe you had an interfering thought today and it's Monday, and then on Monday night something else happened, and then Tuesday morning something else happened, and Tuesday afternoon something else happened. It seems like it's a barrage of constant chaos. It takes me a little bit to come out from under all of that. And sometimes it's all I can do to manage the chaos right in front of me without me having to dissect it later and focus on what it is that I learned from the whole situation for me to be able to tell and teach you guys as well. So please, I want to ask your forgiveness because I know I can be better than this and I know I need to manage my life and my time a little bit better. But it's not that I have forgotten about you guys. It's not that I don't care. It's more like I want to make sure I'm coming from a good place always. I want to check my energy before I get on this mic always. I want to make sure that whatever content I put out there is actually useful and helpful. And it's not me ranting and raving because I've built this brand to represent a balanced mind, which means I can tell you the pros and the cons. I can tell you how bad it got before I was able to bounce back again. I can tell you how long it took me to bounce back because then it gives you a general idea of what it might look like for you. Maybe you don't go through the same situations. Maybe you don't go through the same kinds of processes for you to get back to normal because I've discovered what mine are. Maybe you need to still discover what yours are. But at least you have an honest idea, a real rendition of what it might look like, the process, what it may take, how long it may take. Because there's so many of them, you have so many examples from me alone that you might be able to figure out, you know what? I don't have to beat myself up if it doesn't happen right away. I don't have to feel badly or feel guilty if it takes me a little bit longer than most. And some situations demand more energy. That's just the way it is. So here I am confessing. I don't do the work always. I fall short. I kick myself. I get upset because I'm losing momentum. I'm burning daylight. You know what I mean? But the point is I know this about me. And there's no shame in my game. I'm not going to hide it from you guys. You guys already know when you see new content from me and when you don't. It's right there on the timestamp. But I also know that I am human. And I'm coming to you as a human, telling you that, you know what? One day on your journey, you may face the same crisis. You may find that you are, feeling like you're drawn and quartered in 5 different directions. You may feel like you have nothing left to give and you don't want to do this anymore because it seems to get you into more trouble than it's worth. You may feel like you've lost the passion for your passion and you don't know what to do. Take the time, sit with the feelings, figure out what's going on, clear up as much chaos as you can, set things in order, and then see if you can find that inspiration again. Because damn it, that's basically what I had to do most of this year. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Drop them in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. But in the meantime, yeah, you're human. Yes, you deserve the grace to make mistakes and take a break if you need to. Because that's exactly what I'm doing too. I love you guys. I'll catch you again soon. Bye.